A very warm welcome to you, Shalina. Thank you so much for joining the Karma Summit and sharing your thoughts and views around volunteering with thousands of folks joining us today from across the globe. A very, very warm welcome to you and thank you for joining.
Thank you, Abhishek. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Great. Shalina, let's start with your goals and mission at UN Volunteers. What is the goal and the mission, and what, according to you, has been some of the learnings in terms of what constitutes really good, strong volunteering?
Thank you, Abhishek. So for us, we are a UN entity, so we are a United Nations organization. We are linked to the United Nations Development Program. We were established back in 1970, and our mandate is really twofold. The first part of our mandate is to promote volunteerism across the globe and make sure that we work with our government government partners, but also all the other stakeholders like volunteer involving organization and all other stakeholders to make sure that volunteerism is recognized and there is a strong legal framework and other framework in countries for volunteerism to happen, basically. So this is the first part of the mandate. The second part of the mandate is what we do is to work with the UN agencies. We are basically a service to the whole system, to all the UN agencies, and we can place United Nations volunteers within their program. As you know, the United Nations organizations have very big mandates. Each of them have a very specific and big, large mandate. There is so much work that actually it's not enough to only have the staff and the regular employees. So what we can do to help them is to bring skilled and qualified volunteers to join their team in order for them to be able to achieve the projects that they are trying to achieve. So that is the second part of our mandate. The next question that you ask is, what constitutes a good volunteer? I would say that as a basis, somebody who wants to help others, it's by itself, it's very commendable. And for volunteerism, I personally believe that it's somebody who wants to help others, somebody who would have empathy and sympathy, and who really wants to contribute to a greater cause than oneself. You need to have commitment, be passionate and have dedication. And lastly, you need to be able to and be ready to go out of your comfort zone, a little bit like a scout approach.
Got it. Very interesting points, and it's great to learn so much about the UN volunteers program, because it's, as you mentioned, it works from a volunteerism perspective, but it works across different agencies and countries in the UN network. And just diving deeper into that, how have you seen let's say matching happening? Can you share some examples of how do you successfully match a volunteer to an organization, and what works at the back end to make this happen?
Sure. So first, let me give you some figures. Basically, last year in 2019, we had a historic number of volunteers. We placed across the world, we placed 8,232 United Nations volunteers on site. So they physically went to perform their assignments. And this number is actually for volunteers coming from 162 countries, working with 54 United Nations organizations and based in 154 countries. So those assignments were everywhere across the world. And for the first time, we actually had 51% of volunteers who were female. As you know, in the UN system, the gender parity is extremely important. So we always try to make sure that we have gender parity. And here we have 51% of female volunteers. And in this region, in particular, in Asia Pacific, we placed more than 1,300 volunteers in the various UN agencies.
Yeah.
How do we make it successful? We are, so to speak, as I said, we are a service to the UN system, but we are also a needs-based organization. Basically, UNICEF, the UNHCR, the United Nations Development Program, the UNEP environmental program will come to us and say, well, we have a specific need for these assignments, and this is the profile that we need. And we have a database, we have a roster where we have a lot of volunteers. We have more than 300,000 potential volunteers. So these are people that express their interest to volunteer within the UN system. We have a whole vetting mechanism because we actually have very qualified and skilled volunteers. We want to ensure that the matching that we do is really a win-win situation, both for the UN agency and for the volunteer as well. So we do have a whole system where we check the qualifications, the language skills and other skills, the experience, because with so many years of experience, we know or we can predict the kind of profile that are actually needed and will contribute to the work of the United Nations system. So this is how we do our matching, and we have so many successful experiences. One way to also measure the success is to see if the volunteer is satisfied with his or her assignment. Another way is to see if the volunteer has contributed to the Sustainable Development Goals, which is really the main goals that we all work towards. The other way to measure success is that the UN system, which actually hired the volunteer, is happy with the performance, because it's really down to two people working together, and actually more than two people. So, the UN system, we are really multicultural, interdisciplinary, and therefore it is very important that you make sure that the match is good, to make sure that the person can work within different cultural and different background. And also the volunteer gets a lot out of this experience, because you actually see the work of the United Nations firsthand. You work with governments, you work with volunteer involved in organization, private sector, individuals, communities, depending on the project you are assigned, and then you really can see the contributions of your work directly to the ground. So those are some of the ingredients that actually make it successful.
Got it. And it seems really robust process, and I think it's also something which is trying to map volunteers and requirements across so many agencies and countries and types of projects is actually a very massive exercise in that way, and it's great to see the robust process. Just shifting now to the COVID crisis, and it is probably something which everyone across the humanity has witnessed this and is going through this. And I think one thing that we see for sure is that there is a lot of interest for volunteerism, because everyone now has an urge or an intent to contribute back. And especially during the crisis time, a lot of young people want to go out and help. But obviously, because of the physical and social distancing they have to stay at home. So we have seen a huge spurt in online volunteering, but would love to understand from you, what have you seen as a shift in volunteerism because of COVID? And do you think it's a temporary or a permanent shift, and how will it play out? Would love to get your insights here.
Yes, actually, with this crisis, we really saw that there is no limit in the commitment of people to help others. I mean, really to extend this helping hand and to work in a different ways and inspiring ways, both online and on-site. During the COVID crisis, for United Nations Volunteers Program, we had a surge in volunteers number in online, but we also had quite a lot of on-site. And sometimes we had to shift some of the assignments, so some people who were working in a particular assignment, to actually then work on a COVID-19 preparedness response or a recovery efforts assignment. So people were willing to shift predict the nature of their work. People were also very willing to understand easily and adjust to work from home, because this in itself has some connotations. I mean, I think there's a lot of literature on the impact of working from home, and it's different for different people. And of course, our volunteers were also impacted. Another aspect that was really clear was the surge of online volunteering. For example, if I just take in India, we have this, next to the online and on-site volunteers, we also have what we call a V-Force. So it's a volunteer force. And this is an initiative that is present in this region in different countries, like in Sri Lanka. It started actually in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, in Nepal, India, and Thailand. And this is basically online. You register again and you showcase your interest to participate, and basically when the UN system needs help for some events or some campaigns, they can actually reach out to these people and then they will come and work. And if you look at India in particular, right now, this is something that started very recently. We have 18,000 people who are registered, and during the COVID crisis, 6,000 new person registered into this system. So for me, I think COVID has really shown a renewed sense of solidarity and willingness of helping. And it's very important because our volunteers have also been going at community level in order to spread awareness messages. It's also important to know that some of our volunteers are community level volunteers. That means that it's people from the community speaking the language, knowing the community, the surroundings of that community, and therefore bringing the right message in a way that is understandable for that community affected. So I think this is something that was a highlight for the COVID, and I believe that this pandemic really showed us different ways of working, and we need to look at the use of digital technology, which is very good, but it also highlights some division, of course. So you know that inequalities is quite predominant everywhere, especially in this region. And for us, if we want volunteerism to be a really inclusive mechanism, an inclusive program, we need to make sure that people who have less access to IT and digital means should be given the means actually to also participate and be able to volunteer, because that's one of the gap, so to speak, that was highlighted during the COVID-19.
Got it. Yeah, I think it's very interesting wherein you mentioned that, you know, technology is an enabler. It makes things borderless, but also in certain ways it magnifies the gap between the haves and have-nots. And as you know, technology becomes more cost effective and more spreading across the masses, I think it would definitely play a huge positive role. But the COVID crisis has actually magnified some of these inequalities from a access to technology as well, which creates its own set of challenges. But as you rightly mentioned, online volunteering is something which is seen a huge surge, and we see a lot of new and innovative ways in which nonprofits are evolving and innovating to engage and work with online volunteers. And especially because of the nonprofit side, there is a lot of fundraising crisis in terms of operations for them. So volunteerism is a really good way to help them navigate this crisis as well.
That's true. That's true.
In terms of just between volunteerism and the SDGs, as in SDGs is something which the entire world is moving towards. How do you see the linkages, and how can they be more aligned and to achieve the SDGs and actually get to that vision that the SDGs have?
Yes, thank you. Yes, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals are really what drives us. And as you know, now we have entered the decade of action, so we don't have that much time. We have 10 years left in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. There are lots of studies and literature that you can read that says that if we keep the development as it is right now, we will not achieve the SDGs in the next 10 years. So what we are looking at as the decade of action has started is really to accelerate the way we work. And we believe that we actually need to look at creative and innovative ways for volunteerism as well. And for that, we need to make sure that the efforts are realigned, that we have better integration of policies, we have coherence and have transformational actions, as we say it. And we need to look at perhaps different volunteering model, and perhaps the COVID-19 accelerated that because we had to look at different volunteering models. So in that vein, what we have done here in the United Nations Volunteer Program last week, actually, we had what we call a global technical meeting, which itself had to be adapted because it was supposed to be taking place in New York during the high-level panel. And we did it virtually, a 4 days meeting virtually with thousands of participants from all backgrounds, all countries. And basically that the theme of the Global Technical Meeting was reimagining volunteering for the 2030 agenda. And at the end of that meeting, we came with a call to action to really bring all stakeholders. It's a call to action, but we want to really mobilize every stakeholder, member states, private sector, volunteer involving organization, academia, and volunteers as well, individuals, anybody, to come and look at a renewed action from all stakeholders. This is really something that we did. And we also launched something called a knowledge portal, because a few years ago, we did a study where we saw that 70% of volunteerism is actually informal and 30% is formal. But then the informal is intangible because you don't have enough data and evidence. So what we have tried to do is to launch this portal, knowledge portal, where everybody can actually input data in order for us to have a better measurement of the work that we are doing and how can we come closer to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So this is something that we have done as well. And of course, as I highlighted you, some of the digital divide were also coming out of these studies and different work that we have done. And we need to think, I mean, are we shifting this civic engagement that we had, the ideas of civic engagement that we had in the past? Is everything now going to be virtual? And if it is virtual, how do we ensure that everybody has equal access? How do we ensure that women and men can devote their time equally? When you look at the course, the normal course that a woman has in the household versus a man, there is already a gap. And then how can we ensure that everybody has the same access? So I think it brings quite a lot of interesting questions that we should try to bring a response quite soon. Because as I said, decade of action, we don't have much time. So we need to accelerate the efforts and make sure that all stakeholders are really joining hands in the spirit of the Sustainable Development Goal 17 around partnerships. So we need to forge new alliances to make sure that we all bring our different set of expertise to make sure that we come with grounded, good solutions.
Sure. And yeah, I think partnerships is the way to move forward. Everyone has a role to play, and I think the vector sum of all stakeholders should be maximized. So, partnerships is very critical. So, we are towards the end of our session, and rebuilding communities, according to GODERA, has to be a people's movement. And we are working really hard to transform volunteering globally, and especially virtual volunteering. So, would love to hear from you. 3 words that come to your mind when you think about volunteering.
Well, I think during the whole discussion, it has come out. I think inclusion is very important. The second word that I would mention is action, positive action. And the third would be solidarity. And solidarity at all levels, global, regional, local, all the way down to community level.
Those are great words, and I think thank you so much for taking out the time for this session. Really grateful, and would love to figure out ways for UN volunteers and GODERA to work together over the longer term as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.